Good morning to all my dear students. Here we'll continue our fifth lesson, Footprints Without Feet. Let's start. In the last tutorial, we had left when Griffin had entered a theatrical company. He not only got a place to hide himself but also got clothes and glasses, false, big bushy side whiskers and a large hat to wear. And he slept there. In the morning, he found that few of the staff members of the theatrical company were approaching him. He panicked and began to run. In order to escape without being seen, what he did is he attacked the shopkeeper from behind, after which he robbed him of all the money he could find. So, in order to save himself, in order to run away from there, in order to save his life, what he did is he attacked the shopkeeper of that shop and he robbed him with all the money he had and ran away from there. Eager to get away from crowded London, he took a train to the village of Iping, where he booked 2 rooms at the local inn. It's a pub. Okay. So, in order to save himself from crowded London, he directly took a train to a village called Iping and he booked 2 rooms at a local inn or hotel there. The arrival of a stranger at an inn in winter was in any case an unusual event. A stranger of such uncommon appearance set all tongues wagging. So, when he entered there at the local inn, it was very strange because in winter time there were very few people who would book room or would stay in hotel. It was very unusual, and that too a stranger with an uncommon appearance. And everybody started noticing, looking at him. Everyone's tongue was wagging. Mrs. Hall, the landlord's wife, made every effort to be friendly, but Griffin had no desire to talk and told her, "My reason for coming to Iping is a desire for solitude." Solitude means a state of being alone. So, there at the inn, he met the landlord's wife, Mrs. Hall. Mrs. Hall was very keen to talk to Mr. Griffin, but Griffin had no desire to talk. He was least bothered, he was least interested to talk to her. So, in order to save him and in order to not to talk with the landlord's wife, Mrs. Hall, he gave a reason that he has come to Iping just for solitude, just for being alone, to spend some time with himself. "I do not wish to be disturbed in my work. Besides, an accident has affected my face." So he told to Mrs. Hall that he does not want to get disturbed, and he also told that as an accident has affected his face, that is why he has covered his face. Satisfied that her guest was an eccentric scientist, and in view of the fact that he had paid her in advance, Mrs. Hall was prepared to excuse his strange habits and irritable temper. So, Mrs. Hall, after listening to Griffin, she somehow found that Mr. Griffin was an eccentric scientist. Eccentric means a slightly strange person. And on top of that, Mr. Griffin had also paid her in advance. So there was no chance of questioning his privacy. So she was prepared to accept his strange habits, to excuse his strange habits and also his irritable temper, also his high temper. She accepted everything. But the stolen money did not last long, and presently Griffin had to admit that he had no more ready cash. He pretended, however, that he was expecting a check to arrive at any moment. So, when he was staying there, he had almost finished all his stolen money. He had to tell his landlord that he is running short of money, and he acted that his check is to arrive anytime soon. There was no check coming, but in order to stay some more days, few days, he gave this reason to landlord Mr. and Mrs. Hall. Shortly afterwards, a curious episode occurred. Very early in the morning, a clergyman and his wife were awakened by noises in their study. Creeping downstairs, they heard the chink of money being taken from the clergyman's desk. Without making any noise and with the poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. So, they slept that day, Mr. Hall and Mrs. Hall, and also Griffin. Very early in the morning, they heard some noise and were in the study room. They moved downstairs. They went downstairs and they saw that from his desk, from clergyman's desk, an amount, the chink of money, is being taken away. What happened? They also saw that without making any noise, with the poker grasped firmly in his hand, the clergyman flung open the door. Surrender! So, clergyman, Mr. and Mrs. Hall, they thought that they are going to catch hold of the person who's there in the study. So, they carry a poker. They carried a poker. A poker means a metal rod with a handle, used for prodding and stirring an open fire. So, it's a poker. Now, clergyman with a poker went towards the study. He flung open the door and spoke in a loud voice, "Surrender!" Then, to his amazement, he realized that the room appeared to be empty. So, when they actually reached there, they found that there was no one in the room. It was completely empty. He and his wife looked under the desk and behind the curtains and even up the chimney. There wasn't a sign of anybody, yet the desk had been opened and the housekeeping money was missing. Now, they started searching in the whole room. They looked under the desk, they looked behind the curtains, they also even looked at the chimney, but there wasn't a sign of anybody. There was no one in the room, they couldn't see anyone. Yet, they saw that the door or the desk was opened, the housekeeping money was missing, and the desk drawer was open. Extraordinary affair, the clergyman kept saying for the rest of the day. But it was not an extraordinary as the behavior of Mrs. Hall's furniture a little later that morning. The landlord and his wife were up very early and were surprised to see the scientist's door wide open. Now, they also saw this very same day, the very same time, that the scientist's door was wide open. Usually it was shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. The opportunity seemed too good to be missed. They peeped around the door, saw nobody, and decided to investigate. They looked under the desk, behind the curtains, and also up the chimney, but the person was nowhere to be seen. Now, Mrs. Hall's furniture were much more fascinating. Mrs. Hall and her husband woke up very early and were surprised as the door to the guest room was open. Usually, the scientist's door remained closed, shut and locked, and he was furious if anyone entered his room. And scientist would be very angry at someone if somebody would enter his room. His bed sheets were cold, which showed that he must have been up for a while, and also all the bandages that he used to tie around his face were lying around the room. The bedclothes were cold, showing that the scientist must have been up for some time, and stranger still, the clothes and the bandages that he always wore were lying about the room. So both husband and wife, they saw that his bedsheet were cold, which showed that he must have been up for a while. All the bandages that he used to wear, his clothes were all lying about the room. All of a sudden, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff close to her ear. A moment later, the hat on the bedpost leaped up and dashed itself into her face. Now, suddenly, Mrs. Hall heard a sniff. Sniff means draw up air through the nose. Sniff close to her ear, and Griffin's hat that was lying on the bedpost flung towards her and hit her on her face very hard. Then the bedroom chair became alive. Now, they started experiencing some unnatural force in the room. They found that bedroom chair had become alive. Springing into the air, it charged straight at her, legs foremost. As she and her husband turned away in terror, the extraordinary chair pushed them both out of the room and then appeared to slam and lock the door after them. Now, after that, a hat was flung into her face very hard. They also saw a bedroom chair becoming alive. The chair in the room dashed itself, hitting Mrs. Hall in her legs. They both got very scared. Mrs. Hall and her husband were going out of the room when suddenly a chair appeared to slam and lock the door. Sound of slamming the door and locking were heard, and this terrorized both Mr. and Mrs. Hall. She was about to fall from the stairs, almost fell down the stairs in hysterics. Hysterics means a widely emotional, exaggerated reaction. So she got so scared that she was about to fall from the stairs. She was convinced that the room was haunted by spirits and that the stranger had somehow caused these to enter into her furniture. So when she found such things, when she experienced such things at her own place in the room of scientist, she was convinced, she accepted that the room was haunted by spirits, ghosts, and that the stranger had somehow caused these to enter into her furniture. And she was convinced that it was the stranger, it was the scientist who had all these things, who had caused these things at her place. My poor mother used to sit in that chair, she moaned, to think it should rise up against me now. She moaned, moan means a long low sound. She moaned about that her mother used to sit in that chair which hit her legs and thought that how could it rise up against her. She was very shocked, she was very surprised that that chair which flung into her face, which she found that it was very strange for her that that chair belonged to her mother, and her poor mother couldn't even think of doing this. That chair cannot rise against her. The feeling among the neighbors was that the trouble was caused by witchcraft. But witchcraft or not, when news of the burglary at the clergyman's home became known, the strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. Now, the news of this burglary means somebody entering into someone's house with the purpose of theft. So that is burglary. The strange scientist was strongly suspected of having had a hand in it. So everyone started suspecting the strange scientist. Everybody started thinking that it was a scientist who could have done all this. Suspicion grew stronger when he suddenly produced some ready cash, though he had admitted not long before that he had no money. Now, the suspicion that everyone had on clergyman, had on Griffin, the scientist, grew even stronger when he all of a sudden produced some cash to give to the landlord, when just few days back he told he had informed to Mr. and Mrs. Hall that he won't be able to pay very soon as he had no money. The village constable was secretly sent for. Instead of waiting for the constable, Mrs. Hall went to the scientist, who had somehow mysteriously appeared from his empty bedroom. Now, a village constable was called. Mrs. Hall went to the room of the scientist and she found that Griffin, the scientist, was there, and he appeared from nowhere. They weren't aware that how he appeared from his room. He appeared mysteriously. "I want to know what you have been doing to my chair upstairs," she demanded, "and I want to know how it is you came out of an empty room and how you entered a locked room." So Mrs. Hall confronted Griffin and asked few questions from him, that how he was able to do something to his chair, how he came out from his empty room, and how he entered the locked room. It was very strange. They found very strange, and she confronted him and asked from Griffin, the scientist. The scientist was always quick-tempered. Now he became furious. "You don't understand who or what I am," he shouted. "Very well, I will show you." So, scientist was very high-tempered. He became very angry and he told to Mrs. Hall that she doesn't know what kind of a person he is and who he is. He shouted and he told her that he is going to tell her that he will even going to show himself that who he is. Suddenly he threw off bandages, whiskers, spectacles, and even nose. It took him only a minute to do this. The horrified people in the bar found themselves staring at a headless man. So he at last showed everyone that who he was. He, like you can have a look in the picture, how he became invisible. You can see here a constable, a village constable. You can see Mrs. Hall, Mr. Hall, and other people there. Now, what he did is he started throwing bandages from his head that he was covering from. He also removed the whiskers. He also started removing the spectacles and even the false nose. And it took him only just a minute to remove all this stuff from his body. The people in the bar, they kept on staring at this headless man because he removed his bandages around his head, and it was very strange. Everyone was looking at him. Mr. Jaffers, the constable, now arrived and was quite surprised to find that he had to arrest a man without a head. But Jaffers was not easily prevented from doing his duty. So it was the first time in the life of the constable, Mr. Jaffers, that he would arrest a man without a head, because he had no head, he had become invisible. And it was very surprising for him to arrest a man without a head. But it was his duty and he couldn't, he had no choice but to arrest him. If a magistrate's warrant ordered a person's arrest, then that person had to be arrested with or without his head. So it was the order of magistrates. Warrant means an order to arrest. So it was from a magistrate, and Mr. Jaffer had no other option to arrest him, whether the person was present with a head or not. He had to be arrested. There followed a remarkable scene as the policemen tried to get hold of a man who was becoming more and more invisible as he threw off one garment after another. The policeman, the constable, Mr. Jaffer, tried to catch hold of this person, the scientist Griffin, who was more and more becoming invisible. Firstly, he removed his bandages, then whiskers, and slowly he started removing his clothes even. He opened his shirt and threw the shirt away into the air. And the constable kept running after him, struggling to catch hold of Griffin, but he was unable to. He failed. Some people tried to help him but found themselves hit by blows that seemed to come from nowhere. So this constable was helped by other people in the bar to catch hold of Griffin, but he had become invisible, and all the people there were hit by blows. They were getting blows from nowhere. They were getting slaps. They were getting hit by this invisible person from nowhere. In the end, Jaffers was knocked unconscious as he made a last attempt to hold on to the unseen scientist. Now, Jaffer didn't lose hope. He kept on searching for this invisible man. He tried one last time, but he was slapped. He was knocked down by the unseen scientist, and he became unconscious. There were nervous, excited cries of "Hold him!" but this was easier said than done. Griffin had shaken himself free, and no one knew where to lay hands on him. Everybody was nervous. There was nervousness in the atmosphere. All were shouting, "Hold him, hold him." But to speak "hold him" was much more easier than to actually holding this scientist, because he had become completely invisible. It was really impossible for anyone to catch hold of an invisible person. Griffin had removed all his clothes. He himself became free totally, and no one in the whole pub, no one in the whole inn could actually catch or hold him. He was free, and nobody was able to hold him at all. In the conclusion, we can observe that Griffin, the scientist, though he had made such a discovery, but he in real way could not be called as a scientist, because scientist always works for the betterment of a country, the world. Scientist adds up to the discoveries, to the new discoveries. And here, though Griffin made a discovery, but he totally misused it. He misused his powers. He misused his discovery for his own.